morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Jonathan Chilia, joined by my co-host, Benjamin Abela, and here are your headlines for today. Ian Borg, accused of blaspheming on live TV. Gavin Goulia returns to Parliament as MP after winning casual election. The General Workers' Union says employers should pay for teleworkers' home costs. The Prime Minister will not publish Miriam Potts' report and says recommendations are being implemented. And a Maltese mother finds her engagement ring she lost while giving birth in Mother Day. So I just want to jump right into the very first story. Ben, you want to take it away?
Sure, it's the story everyone's been talking about since late last night. Transport Minister Ian Borg practically broke the internet after he was accused of blaspheming on live One TV talk show Piazza. However, he insists that he has been sorely misunderstood. Enough talk, let's cut to the video right now. Let us know what you think. Did he swear or not? With regards to the clip, it first shot up to fame after Shadow Justice Minister Jason Azzopardi uploaded the clip, obviously condemning Borg's words. Soon after, Net News also published an article accusing Borg of blasphemy. However, shortly after that, the Minister Ian Borg, took to social media to defend himself. Needless to say, the incident prompted countless memes, especially after Borg said that he didn't actually swear, but rather he said Alan us, which is a word that no one can really wrap their head around, no one really heard before. Therefore, many people are actually questioning the legitimacy of this defense. What do you think, John? Do you think that's a real word or something Ian Borg made up?
I mean, it might be some old school word they use in Dingley. I'm not really sure about that. But, this comes just after last month, a PN backbencher had said another very nice word in Parliament. So it seems, I don't know what's going on in Parliament. This was on Piazza, to be fair, but I don't know what these ministers and shadow ministers are doing right now. But in his defense, he said, listen, quote, "It's ridiculous that I even have to explain myself. Now, if you want to say that I am blaspheming, it's up to you. When I'm in the Holy Land, I'll pray for you like the Pharisees." So obviously, Ian Borg, Transport Minister, coming out very strongly. But as you said, my social media feed was full of memes, people Googling the phrase to see if it exists, people trying to figure out if it's some old school word, if it's some new invention. If you know the origin of this phrase, do let us know in the comments below, where it comes from. Please help us try to understand what this word is, if it's even a word. Moving on to the next story. Yesterday there was a casual election in Malta, so we have a new MP. Gavin Goulia has returned to Parliament after 7 years. Following the casual election yesterday. So it's important to remember that Gavin Goulia is someone that's been in Maltese politics since the 90s. He was actually a parliamentary secretary under Alfred Sund's administration and was even promoted to Justice Minister for about 6 or 7 months in 1998 under Alfred Sund's administration, obviously until the Labour government was ousted in an election in 1998. So this was quite a close race, wasn't it, Ben?
Yes, extremely close, especially in the first count. So during the first count, Goulia got 1,486 votes, just 7 votes more than opponent Jeffrey Pulicino Orlando, who got 1,479 votes. On the other hand, Azzopardi got 1,028 votes, which eliminated him from the first count. After that, the second count saw Gavin Goulia come out as victorious after he received 2,216 votes and Pulicino Orlando 1,750. Congratulations goes to Goulia. On to our third story of the day. The General Workers' Union says that employers should pay for teleworkers' home costs. So Malta's biggest union, the General Workers' Union, has put forward a number of proposals to ensure that remote workers aren't burdened with home costs that employers would have otherwise have had to pay if the employees were actually working from the workplace. So the proposals include the payment of part of the workers' rent, electricity bill, installation costs for telephone lines, Wi-Fi bills, VPNs, and even air conditioning. So The General Workers Union is basically proposing that employees' homes actually become a sort of temporary workplace, which is subsidized by the employer themselves. The General Workers Union also proposed that employers should carry out home workspace risk assessments and propose that designated home workspaces are recognized as an extension of the workplace in terms of injuries and illnesses suffered there. So technically, if these proposals are actually accepted, getting injured at home during work hours would practically equate to getting injured on the workplace. What do you think, John? There's quite a different situation overseas, right?
No, I think this is a super interesting discussion. Obviously, amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, practically everyone in many, many different industries have had to adapt to working from home. For some people, it's been successful. For some others, it's been less so. Malta has a very, very strong union culture. We've always had strong trade unions, and having the General Workers Union come out and now take it to the next level. It's very interesting. But as you said yourself, abroad, it's a very different situation. I mean, we just have to look at a recent proposal by Deutsche Bank, which said that, companies should be applying a 5% tax to any workers who work from home because they have the privilege of working from home. They said this could raise up to 48 billion in the US alone and billions more in the UK and other Western countries. So, in Malta, we have unions saying, you should be subsidized for any costs, electricity, water, food costs, these kind of things. Whereas abroad, it's like, listen, we should be taxing these workers for the privilege of working from home. So two totally different approaches. Definitely let us know in the comments below which one you agree with. Should workers be getting subsidized from working from home, or should they be paying a tax for the privilege of working from home? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on to the next story. Prime Minister Robert Abela, said he will not be publishing a report whipped up by a panel of experts following recommendations to the construction industry following the death of Miriam Potch last year. So obviously this was a shocking death. A Maltese mother of two died after her home, which was neighboring a construction site, collapsed. She was buried under the rubble and she was left for dead. 4 people have been charged with her death caused due to their work. But now that we have a report about, should the construction industry be looking at certain practices, should there be any recommendations, while we have a report on it, we will not be seeing what the report actually holds. We're going to cut to a video now where Lovin Malta editor Julian Bonici actually spoke to the Prime Minister about this report.
I'd like to start on one question about Miriam Potch. So if you remember, soon after her death, you appointed an expert panel. Has that panel concluded its recommendations? Are you planning to publish those recommendations?
Rapport tagħmel ir-rakkomandazzjonijiet tiegħu lili u dawk waslu biex aħna kif taf intavolajna sensiela ta' bidliet leġislattivi, ġifieri hemm liġijiet ġodda li qegħdin ġol Parlament fost oħrajn fejn se titwaqqaf awtorità dwar il-kostruzzjoni sabiex inkunu nistgħu nkomplu insaħħu l-liġijiet li jirregolaw din l-industrija importanti għal pajjiżna. Fil-fatt saru wkoll numru ta' mistoqsijiet parlamentari u daw ġew inwieġba dwar.
So the report won't be published?
L-emendi li hemm fil-liġi dak li qegħdin qudiem il-Parlament għad-diskussjoni pubblika fil-Parlament huma l-konsegwenzi għal dak ir-rapport.
Now, it's important to remember, kind of the feeling on the island after her death. Everyone was really, really shocked by it. I remember even Abela himself had come out, said he was angry at what had happened, and he had promised action. This report is that action. And, even Miriam Potch's widower, Carmel Potch, who has not been quiet about the death, has been posting monthly about updates to what's happening regards to death and any justice, if there is any, that's going to be coming from it. He had called on the Prime Minister to publish the report as well. So it's a bit interesting to see that the Prime Minister has chosen not to publish the report and let everyone see kind of what experts really did make of Miriam Potch's death. However, he has said that the recommendations in the report are being implemented as part of a wider reform.
Certainly, it's extremely heartbreaking to witness Carmel Potch post about his late wife practically every month and still not seeing justice being served. Hopefully, amendments are made so that Malta's construction industry claims no more victims. And with that, we move on to our final story of the day. We're going to be ending on a bit of a positive note because a Maltese mother found her engagement ring that she lost while she was giving birth in Mater Dei Hospital. So on Boxing Day of last year, a Maltese mother called Melania lost 2 rings while she was giving birth at Mater Dei, and she actually found one of them, her engagement ring, thanks to Lovin Malta's public appeal. Now this all happened as soon as Melania was practically admitted to hospital. Both she and her fiance forgot about the rings. She took them off. They were very panicked about the incoming operation, as one would be, and they completely forgot and left the rings behind. However, following an article that was published by Lovin Malta making a public appeal for these rings to be found, Eric, a man who actually visited the delivery room shortly after Melania did, contacted Lovin Malta saying that he actually had found one of those rings. Lovin Malta then put Eric in contact with Melania, who was ecstatic to find one of her rings. Unfortunately, the other ring, a ring which was given to Melania by her son, was not found. However, Melania still got her 2 rings because her husband went ahead and bought her another one.
You know, it's a super sweet story, and I think sometimes we forget the power of social media in a positive light. You know, so often we're hearing about, you know, all the negativity around social media, how it could be affecting our mental health. And we sometimes forget how easy it can be used as a tool to really just help each other out. So as you said yourself, you know, this was back in December. What had happened was Melania had some difficulties with her birth that she wasn't expecting, which kind of put her and her fiancé in a panicked mode. She was advised to remove her rings as part of the prep, and the rings were left in the waiting room. So it's just awesome to see that after we put an appeal out that, you know, a multi-citizen of his own right, he had the rings, he could have kept them. He reached out to us and he said, listen, I found the rings. I want to, you know, give something back to this mother, make her January great. And she was over the moon, as you said yourself. You know, she was really, really thankful. So it just goes to show sometimes, you know, reaching out on social media and using it for the best of its causes can be a really, really good thing. I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. From myself and Benjamin, have a day full of lovin'.